This week on Not Sauce for Work, Terry Tam is co-hosting from home. Eagle is producing in the nest. On today's show, we close the book on Coach K as well as this year's LA Lakers. And we take some time to celebrate the Masters. We also found out baseball has looked to modern solutions. We'll get into this and much more on this episode of Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Podcast Network. Welcome everyone, you are listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. Well, yes, but also you're watching Not Sauce for Work. More precisely, that's.
I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks in a row you do that.
I'm exhausted. This time of year, there's so many sports all the time. My brain is rattled.
And it's the first weekend of this time frame that you don't have another engagement, so you can actually enjoy the sports.
Oh yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
It's true. That's true.
It's my favorite weekend on the calendar year. It's Masters weekend.
Yeah.
I've been so busy. I haven't had time to put in any bets. It's terrible. So I'm just.
Oh.
It's still an enjoyable experience just because of how much I love golf and how much I love the Masters. And it's like it's also when it happens because we live in a cold climate. It's like a signifier to you and I, Terry. Like, it's like, oh, the pheromones are running. I'm getting a little horny. Golf season's near.
Exactly. And you kind of feel it. And I told my girlfriend, I go, listen, the next 4 days there's something happening. She goes, what's happening? I'm like, there's golf on. But I'm not going to steal the TV from you. I'm saying is from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm going to ask you if I can watch golf. I'm just asking you if you can just be a little more lenient because I want to watch it on the big TV, not on my laptop.
I noticed that you left Sunday off. Is that Sunday you're not going to ask her?
No, Sunday I'm allowed. TV's mine.
Okay.
No friends, no office.
Right.
You have friends?
None of that. Yeah, apparently. But I want to say something. I just watched the video on YouTube. First mistake. Second mistake. I'm panicking now because of hackers. You ever heard of this guy, Free Kevin Mitnick?
I haven't, but Eagle might. He's that's more Eagle's domain.
Free Kevin?
Yeah. He was a hacker. He was a hacker.
Yeah, he did wire fraud and everything, yeah.
Yeah,
when I think free Kevin Durant. His awful team.
Coop face or whatever it is. And this guy scares the shit out of me. Apparently he has he can detonate all the bombs in the States at a push of a button.
It's terrifying.
I mean, he also is a security consultant now, so if anything, he's helping prevent bombs from being exploded. So yeah.
Sorry, I meant at one point he was able to do that. Because now he has no choice but to work with the government. But yeah,
I'm not going to say who specifically, but I know somebody who works with Homeland Security.
Oh.
And I was visiting them when I was on one of my trips to Atlanta. We know a lot of people there, so it's one of the people that I know. And he had to go take a work call. And as I was going to use the washroom, I walked by and heard part of the conversation, which was like nothing, like no like top secret things. It just the 8 words I heard were the most terrifying. I was like, I would never be able to have a job like that. That sounds like everything sounds just so full of dread and terrifying all the time.
No, I watched Homeland. Just finished it. Did I say what happened to me with this show? So I used to watch.
You found yourself in the show. You're like, wait a second.
Yeah, I watched Homeland like years when it was popping, you know. But then
I watched seasons 1 and 2. I kind of lost interest in season 3.
That's the season 3 was a bad one, but I kind of like watched it. But anyway, so I started watching it again. I'm like, oh, I'm missing a couple seasons of Homeland. I remember liking it. Let me get back into it. So I go, and the last 2 seasons are unbelievable. But I remember like little bits and pieces. Then the last episode comes where it's like the big reveal, and I remember everything. I had watched all of it, and then I rewatched it without even knowing.
That's kind of like good writing, though. If they tie everything together and it makes you remember things you thought you forgot.
No, I think it was because when I was watching it, I was just forcing myself to get through it, so I wouldn't go rewind if I had fallen asleep on an episode. I would just go to the next episode. I think that's basically what it was. So I had probably like a memory of like 10 minutes per episode.
Okay.
But I'm like, this is crazy. I remember this, but I don't remember what the fuck is about to happen.
Yeah. I'm kind of like that too, though. I feel like binge culture kind of changed the way we remember shows too, because like I remember generally what happened in that season, and then when I rewatch it, I'll be surprised by like, oh, I forgot that that's a thing that happens in the show.
Which is weird because these stories, like you said, they're so well written that you can be like, was that season 2 or was that season 3? But like sometimes with The Office, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was season 5 because Michael
but
met
the
Holly.
Office like was right on the brink where we were still watching it episodically.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like I find it easier to remember what season 3 is and 4 is when you're literally waiting for months for the next season to begin, right?
Yeah.
It also depends on the length of the episodes and the length of the series, right? Because exactly that. The Office, it was designed for watching on television, and they had to span like half the year, so they had like 23 episodes in their order. Versus if you get a Netflix show, maybe they do 4 episodes, maybe they do 6 episodes, maybe they're 2 hours long as episodes.
And you watch them in a day.
Yeah. I heard stories about The Office where basically they got popular, and Steve Carell specifically was like shooting movies and stuff, so they had to like cram their episodes into like this really tight production schedule where they would get like no weeks off for like 20 straight weeks, which is fairly unheard of in that field. You know what I mean? Because they're long hours. Like you show up at 5 o'clock in the morning for makeup, and you're there till sundown. And then if you don't finish your shoots Monday to Friday, you're working the weekend as well, right? So it was this really tight, wild thing that essentially they loved it. So they all loved the show so much that they stayed on. Like Steve Carell stayed on probably 2-3 seasons longer than he quote unquote could have based on his work schedule, but he just loved the experience of working there. You know.
Yeah,
because you're making movies.
At that point,
you can't turn down a movie paycheck for a TV show paycheck, right?
And towards the end,
considering what he was getting and the whole syndication of that show,
he was gonna get the syndication anyway at that point. Like by season 3 and 4, like he didn't have to stay. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's we got a lot of sports related and non sports related things to get to. So with that, Eagle, cue up the news.
They could have got rid of Michael when they with the Idris Elba thing before the Michael Scott Paper Company. Like Michael Scott Paper Company should have been the last thing that they did with Michael Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the way it all worked out.
Terry, it's the news.
Damn it, fuck. Eagle, you piece of shit,
I was so
man.
easy to distract. It's not fair. You fucked me,
Eagle.
Terry.
You're such a fucking prick, man. I knew
had
it.
to, man. You were gonna fuck it up. We are on a streak. We're on 313 episodes straight.
No,
Eagle,
I think
how
you,
the
I think
episode
you forgot
count
one.
Eagle, I love you. You're my best friend. Terry, I fucking hate you. Die in a fire.
Even episodes you're not here, he does it. Do you know how hard you had to try to distract him?
It was good. It was really natural. You got me talking about things like I forgot for a second we were on air. Like that's how natural it was.
I was like, "Fuck, man, no way he's gonna pick up on this." I'm like, "Let me just."
You got me good. You got me good.
Let me just start talking. I just thought about it right now. I'm like, I'm just gonna start talking.
Because I low key start panicking when you start talking through sounds.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, it's just the music. It doesn't really matter." And then I was like, "Oh well."
But it's a good. Yeah.
He's talking to me. I'll answer his question or whatever. And oh man, the worst.
You know what? I'm happy it worked, but because Eagle fucked me, not because it didn't work on you.
Yeah, I know. So Tiger Woods, after having a terrifying car accident, I read something this week that he said that his 2 feet no longer look the same because of the damage from the accident. And like basically a year later is out and competing at Augusta and had a decent first day. He looks like he's trending towards making the cut, which is
it's funny you
wild.
mentioned that because I was looking at his feet today. I'm like, were his shoes always that big? Like, I never. He's wearing some big shoes.
Well, they're different sizes also now because of like the damage to the feet, which
that's so weird.
Terrifying.
He's gonna have to walk 5-6 hours for 4 days in a row, and if that's nuts. And with like not only his feet but his femur, like, you know, he's healthy and he's able to do stuff now, but this is like something that he's probably never prepared for. How do you do this? Like, unless you're doing that every weekend, but you're not really. There's no endurance for that. You don't build endurance for your bones. You build endurance for your muscles and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's gonna be brutal. Hopefully, listen. I have a very small amount of money on him.
I think I mean, it's always a good bet. But like Tiger's never paid 40 to 1 before, right? So
Yeah, if I got about plus 4,400.
oh, there you go. So it's an easy bet to make. But what's impressive is that because of how sort of strange Augusta is, you tend to get, he won a couple of years ago and Watson won a couple of years before that. You get sometimes with these older players that are slightly past their prime
Come out of nowhere.
Yeah, because like it's not a particularly long course. It's just a course that requires a lot of skill at all parts.
Like Mike Weir. Mike Weir came back a couple years ago and he went to
and Mike Weir won it. And Mike Weir was, I mean, he's a great Canadian golfer, but he's not a great PGA historical golfer. Like,
oh man, I don't think people are talking about Mike Weir as like some revolutionary golfer. I think
he won maybe 10 tournaments. He's fine.
No, I don't even think he did win that many.
Can you find out how many tournaments Mike Weir won?
I don't think he won that many. I think like
I want to say it was maybe like 10 or 11. It's not many.
I'd say five because he wasn't a guy that would win. He's like Kevin Kisner.
I'm not saying majors. I'm saying PGA tournaments.
I mean, he was also considered top 10 for like 10 years or something like that.
I don't know how much of it.
That doesn't mean much.
110 weeks in the top 10 golf ranking list.
That doesn't mean that he's winning.
He run 14 circuits total, 8 of which were in the PGA Tour.
Okay, so 8. There you go, Terry. So you won 8.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So,
but he won a Masters, which is whatever. You can never
the 2003 Masters, exactly. He has a jacket and you don't.
And especially especially on a year like this year where they're serving Wagyu beef and sushi and and black cod, which is my favorite of the fishes. There's honestly all other fish can be extinct and just be replaced by black cod, and I'd be a very happy man. It is the greatest tasting thing on earth.
Really?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Can't imagine it.
Whenever it's on sale for a striking like $49 a pound, I'll buy it then, which is still insanely expensive. But I like whenever I see it on sale, I have to buy it.
That's it.
But yeah, so the they have this awesome menu. But to me, the thing, one of the charms of the Masters is the only alcohol they serve on the course is beers. That's priced at $6.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because
sorry, I misunderstood. You said alcohol. Okay.
Yeah, like unless you get invited into the into like one of the sponsor booths, which is invite only, or the members club, which you need to be a member of Augusta to get in.
What's the cost? Google.
Oh, it's insane.
Eagle.
I can't even. I don't even know. I know.
I'm gonna guess $250,000
to be a member.
To be an annual.
It's believed to cost between $100,000 and $300,000.
There we go.
Well,
and annual dues are about $30,000.
Jesus.
Oh, okay.
On top of the down payment.
I thought that there was $250,000 a year. That's a discount for Augusta. If I'm a billionaire, why wouldn't I have a membership at Augusta?
But there's also like a waiting list.
Guaranteed. Because or else every billionaire is going to go. Guaranteed.
It's a striking difference from the golf course we play at, Terry. I looked at it. It's $1,700.
However, you cannot apply to be a member. It's invite only.
I was going to say you have to be invited for sure. You can't be like, it ain't happening. Because the thing is, if you apply and you don't get it, let's say because they wanted to make it so if black people applied, that they can we're going to be like, no, we have to invite you.
Well, like the Masters,
the
Masters has first of all an awkward name based on the positioning of golf historically. Then on top of that,
the caddy's wearing all white.
Yeah,
like that's weird to me.
There's a lot of historical things which are charming, but at the same time, a little.
Looks like it's a plantation.
Yeah, well, and if you've been to parts of Georgia, there are areas that still. Or like in where I had my bachelor party in Savannah, Georgia.
There you go.
There's an entire area where it's like these are the plantation houses. It's like the
plantation houses are beautiful.
Yeah,
they're beautiful.
Yeah, it's just of course what they represent.
Yeah,
like the Masters that didn't allow women, didn't allow minorities. They still don't allow cell phones on the course.
Well, I mean, why? That's even. I'd pay out the wazoo for no cell phones on the course.
Yeah, I don't. Well, it's like recently, until I got married, I used to leave my phone in my glove compartment when I played golf, because I don't be bothered when I played golf. But then when you get married, it turns out that's not possible.
I don't like being on my phone. I just like tracking my scores. That's it. That's where I track my scores.
Yeah, I use pencil and paper.
You know what? I thought about getting like a mini notepad to put in my bag, and I'll just calculate my scores there when I go home. Like put everything in. like actually like being organized. And I'm like, who the fuck do I think I am?
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that when there's an app that I pay $2.99 a month for only during the season that collects all that data for me?
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
Not bad. I might do that this year because since now I have to carry my phone on the course, I might as well. Yeah. So the only thing is, like, obviously, like, if you spend $1,500 and then you can't IG brag that you're on the course, right? Like,
What's
but
the
whatever,
point,
it doesn't
right?
matter. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's the thing I thought of. But yeah, so it's cool to see. It's cool to see the azaleas. It's cool to see Tiger Woods. The prices again, like the sandwiches being at $3, beers being the barbecue sandwich is the most expensive sandwich. It's $3. The beers are $6 on the course. So there's a
Habs game.
There's a picture that Duke the Graphite sent us with a guy carrying 14 like empty cups, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's
great,
only
yeah.
$84. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad
at all.
I mean, listen, I'd spend $100 on
Easy.
booze
I
at the Masters.
I spent $100 of booze on a Friday afternoon before I go
Yeah.
back to work.
But the thing is, I'm not like a big like beer guy, so like I'll have like 2, 3, 4 at most.
Yeah, I have
in
2
a
or 3
situation-
cases as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
2 or 3
yeah.
cases, no problem. No
I
problem.
can't do too much because when I get bloated, man, it's just not fun. It's just not fun.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, just whatever. I just enjoy being
Not fun
fat,
for
man.
me.
It is what it
It's
is.
not fun for anybody.
It's just fun being fat, and so I enjoy
It's
that.
fat being fun. That's for sure.
We finally get to say goodbye to Coach K, although a lot of people are saying there's no way he retires after losing twice to North Carolina and not making it to the finals. But that team...
He also apparently his first loss was also to them. So his first loss, his last regular season loss, and his last ever loss is all the same team.
And the first time they face each other in the tournament is the only time they face each other in the tournament. It's going to be a loss.
This is lost. Yeah.
It just... That recruiting class was the best recruiting class he's ever had. There's no, I can't imagine he comes back and the team's even a fraction of what they are. Like it takes.
Why would he come back?
Well, because of the emotional toll of
No. If
because
he
like
comes
Duke will never live this down. Like it'll take, even if they win 10 national titles, it doesn't matter anymore.
this is what's gonna happen.
They lost at Cameron Indoor with Coach K. They lost in the tournament with Coach K. That means more than however many national titles.
Oh yeah, I mean it's huge.
For them, it's a
Huge.
big deal.
It's too bad North Carolina didn't win. But with Coach K, he's not going to come back next year. It's official. John Shire's going to get the job.
I believe so as well.
Yeah,
I
Shire's
think it's
gonna
more
get the job.
complicated than just the coach being like, "Well, I'm back." He's not Tom Brady, you know. Like,
But I'm not. There's definitely going to be some whispering in the AD's ear whenever Duke doesn't do too well. Coach K is going to be like, "Listen, I can come in if you know." If
he
you
still
think I
has a
need to
position there.
whip him up. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's still
Just like
there.
Roy Williams still has a position at UNC where it's
Yeah,
an
but Roy
advisory
Williams
job.
doesn't make the entire department about him, you know, as opposed to Coach K.
What do you mean? There's a way to you can make things not entirely about yourself.
I mean, it's hard. I haven't seen it done,
At
especially in
Duke,
that part.
especially, right? Like,
Yeah, Duke, especially in that part of the
yeah.
country. But it's weird. I haven't seen it done. But yeah, it's possible. Roy Williams is actually that part of the country. Roy Williams is.
he's
done it.
I think now that that Coach K's got all this time on his hands, he should do stuff like go hand out the diplomas at graduation.
Oh
go
yeah,
work in the
exactly.
cafeteria. Make the entire college about him. Like everything about the college is him. He teaches classes.
Yeah, he's got to be the old guy around the. You know, there's always like the old guy around the campus.
I'd be down for like a Van Wilder reboot with Coach K. I'd be down. Him getting some semen pastries to the neighboring fraternity. I'd be down.
Do you know who that movie was about?
I forgot. Yeah, I either we talked about it or talked about it with Duke recently. I don't remember currently.
Bert Kreischer.
That's the one. It's Bert Kreischer.
But
yeah.
he didn't sign off on it, so they had to change the names and all that stuff. But he's like a few of the names of the people around me, they were in that movie. Like their names were in that movie. So
Yeah.
he's like, I haven't seen the movie. He's like, I haven't seen it. I'm never gonna watch it. The only person I would watch it with is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. It's a good call. Why not?
Because I want it to be like a thing. Like
Bert Kreischer came out good because he
Yeah.
does not look as good as Ryan Reynolds.
No, but he's also a fucking millionaire
Yeah,
because of the crazy shit that he does.
of course.
That guy's a beast, huge beast.
But so, and then Kansas goes on to beat UNC. Lost into this, of course, is Villanova. They don't get their shine because Coach K was Coach K.
The
But
East.
it was so UNC, had they won the game, would have had the worst shooting percentage by a championship team in modern NCAA history. They got the only reason the game was close was that they had a rebounding advantage of 29 rebounds, which is insane.
who.
UNC.
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood the
North
question.
Carolina.
Okay. Yeah,
North
so
Carolina was the worst shooting. Had they won, they would have been the worst shooting team to ever win a championship.
okay, I understood that. But the rebounds part, the guy Baycott, what a beast.
Yeah, he's a monster.
The fact that he even competed on that ankle, I know exactly what the struggles he's going through. Big
And
guy
that he gets
falling
out-
on his own ankle is the
Well,
worst.
but apparently there was a loose floorboard, and he and like he collapsed.
Coach
and
K.
then there we go, there we go. You can't spell corruption without K.
Did Coach K ever stand there
With the
randomly?
screwdriver.
Yeah.
So he went down, and then I got to say, so this is kind of cool, and I criticize the NCAA a lot because of the way they treat the student athletes. But when Puff Johnson went down and vomited on the court, I
That was
feel like
crazy.
if it was a pro, they would have showed 18 angles of the vomit, and like they basically cut away the camera right away, and like. You know, 'cause-
As soon as the announcer said, "Oh, I think it's coming up, back up, or something like that," they cut to the bench.
Yeah.
And it was cool. But then all the players had gathered around anyways. So the
yeah,
block-
it's believe it or not, it's something that happens in basketball because of the dehydration. It's not often on the court, but I guess it's the biggest moment of your life. I don't know if Puff Johnson's even an NBA prospect, right? And so for him, this might be his biggest moment, and like you don't want to pull yourself off the court.
You know
and
who
maybe
his
knock him
brother
back
is?
on. Who is his brother?
Cam Johnson.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he's good. This kid. He's a freshman.
Yeah, I think he's
He's the replacement. He's the next guy. Like,
if he
he's
makes the NBA, he'll be a 3-year pro, which means he'll probably be a second round pick because you draft one and dones in the first round.
No, he's not playing. He's coming back next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like in 3 years, if he gets drafted, it's second round max because
He's good. I like him. I like him a lot.
I like him too. It just that whole it's weird is that there wasn't a lot of pro players on the court. Like Kansas had this.
Caleb Love's not a pro player. Manic's
agree.
not a pro player.
I agree.
Baycott is too slow.
Baycott might be like a guy who sticks around as like a 8, 9, 10 guy on a roster. Where his job is come in, give you 3 fouls and 4 rebounds.
I see McCormick more like that. Agbaji, he's a stud.
Agbaji's
he's
first round pick,
unbelievable.
easily.
I mean, listen, to RJ Davis, I think he can have a role on a team too, but I don't know if he would be. He's
Doesn't
just
shoot well enough.
He doesn't shoot well enough, and he's a good passer. From what I'm not an analytics guy for basketball, but I watched enough of UNC to watch it to understand. Right, I watched like 4 of their games this year, and
in the tournament because that's when we all watch.
no, but just in the tournament. But like I usually, you spread it out, but I focused on UNC because I had them going deep, and I would, I like them. I like the team. Caleb Love, I felt like the fact that he can go 15 minutes in the Duke game, the first 15 minutes without a point, and then finish the game with 28 points is crazy to me. Like that kid's nuts. And the amount of buckets that he hit, but he makes a lot of mistakes. And that's the difference that people don't look at. But my point is that RJ Davis doesn't make mistakes. He just doesn't have the shot. He doesn't have he's not super big. He's a good player, but I do see him playing in pro.
Bill Self made some adjustments which surprised me because he has a reputation for not adjusting, but the not switching on double teams because they were getting caught, and just basically throwing it into the post like it's 1996, and letting, because I don't think North Carolina prepared for that because who does that anymore?
No, possible.
It was an interesting game plan. I don't think it was a particularly pretty basketball game. The same way UNC Duke was actually a really, really well played basketball game. It wasn't just close. This game was a close game. It wasn't really a good game. It was close in the worst way that it was a blowout in the first half and then reverse blowout in the second half.
And I was so nervous going into the second because I had UNC so heavy. I had UNC on 3 money line, 3 different spreads. I had them +4, which I got. I had the over, which was a huge mistake. Then I had them at +1,
you should
+1.5,
that big
+2.5,
time sporting
and
events. That the bet is to go the under because the community always chooses the over and it pushes the line up, right?
I know, but I hate playing under.
I know it sucks. you're basically hoping for a shittier game.
Imagine, okay, you know what? In basketball, it's different because there's so many instances and so many moments where like you're gonna get action all the time.
Yeah.
But like you can't bet the under on an NFL game because then you're just getting field goals, and why are you even watching the game?
Why you? Well, when I bet the under in the NFL, I don't watch unless it's the Super Bowl, and then I have so many things
Unless
I'm
the
betting on. It doesn't matter.
Unless the under is 65, you know what I mean? Then I'm watching that. I'm playing the under and I'm watching it for sure.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. So the Lakers have been eliminated officially.
Woo!
I don't know. Like, I'm not particularly happy or unhappy about it. As you guys know, I'm not a fan of a team. I like watching the best players.
Are you more disappointed in the fact that they couldn't make it work?
I'm disappointed. So, like, let's start on this. This doesn't happen often. I was right, but also I wanted not to be right because we don't have that many years of LeBron left, and it'd be cool to see him make some more deep runs in the playoffs. And with every year that passes, it gets less and less likely, especially with him as the centerpiece. And he's going to win the scoring title this season.
I just remembered. Sorry, finish. Go.
And like I remember, as soon as the Westbrook trade was made, Alex, the intern, who was a Lakers fan, was celebrating. I was like, "That's not. I don't see it. Like Vogel's a great coach, so maybe he can figure it out." And it turns out basically the players run the team in the Lakers, and they never could figure it out because there's nobody in charge to basically say like, this is how we have to make this all work, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. There's no real leadership, and I spoke to your brother about this with Alex too. We did a show that I completely forgot to post.
I was gonna say I actually looked for it this morning, and I figured it was gonna be released later.
No, I had completely forgot to to post that. I didn't have time to edit it, so I'm gonna edit. I have that and a few other things to edit too, so that'll be up. But we didn't do it like live or whatever. We just we did it and we talked shit. And we'll probably post it on Saturday. But yeah, so basically saying like that, you know, you can't just expect to put all these guys in the same room and expect them to win.
Well, but it's also the specific skill set of like LeBron's defense has declined. Russ's overall athleticism has declined. Melo never played defense. I thought Melo was actually a decent addition as an off the bench scorer, which he was, but except with all the injuries, he had to start a bunch of games, which he's not that kind of player anymore. And then like the fact that Westbrook and LeBron both need the ball in their hands to play. They're not off the ball players, and it's like they're two versions of the same guy. And then like, okay, I know there's injuries, but that's what happens when you're the oldest team in the NBA. Like, it's a physically grueling season. It's 82 games at an incredibly high pace.
There's no point in complaining about like load management and all that, but like at the end of the day, that team should have been in the playoffs. And we're looking at like we can make all these excuses.
10 teams make the playoffs because there's the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I asked the guys about this, and do you think that with AD healthy, they make the playoffs?
Probably. They make at least the play-in.
We said maybe they would be in at maybe 7, 8, 9.
There's no way because they would have been a low seed, and then they don't get past the first round because the top teams in the West are really 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 good. The
West is a tough conference.
We haven't talked about the Suns at all because it's just boring when the basketball is perfect, but I'm not kidding about this at all. This is the best Suns team ever. And Charles Barkley's one of the greatest power forwards of all time and pushed Michael Jordan to 6 games twice. Like that's the level that this team is. This team is better than the Charles Barkley Suns team. And it's not even close. It's not even defensively, offensively, they're much better. We just holding to the one name, but you can't name another starter on that team. Barkley was great. I'm not saying Barkley wasn't the best son of all time. He probably is.
You know what? I won't be able to name a name. I won't be able to name a name, but I would be able to. Ah, man, it's tough. If you tell me his name, I'll be able to picture him right away in the Suns uniform.
Kevin Johnson.
Yeah,
played on that
yeah,
team.
okay.
I used to have his shoes, so I was a big KJ fan. But yeah, so like the thing is, like it's the deepest team in the NBA. First of all, Booker should be MVP. He's not going to win MVP because it's boring. Mikal Bridges should be Defensive Player of the Year. He's not going to get Defensive Player of the Year because they're going to give it to Rudy Gobert, even though he can't be on the floor in late game situations. Why? Because he can't guard the perimeter. So you put 5 shooters on the
He's
court.
always sitting. He's always off.
The last 5 minutes of the game, unless they're winning or they're losing a lot, he's out of the game.
That's so funny.
And he's the back-to-back defensive player of the year.
I had never known
give
that.
him
No,
another.
he's not. It's not back to back.
Well, he was. He's not last year's. But he was back-to-back player of the year.
Yeah, he's still a good defender, but I didn't know that fact. That's a little crazy.
Cedric Sabalas, Tom Chambers, that do it for you? Richard Dumas.
Nope. Richard Dumas sounds familiar.
He was good. He played on those Suns teams for a while. Yeah, those are the big names, dude. Like that's what I'm saying. This is a really talented Suns team. They're just boring to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll look at that moving forward. But like, so given everything that's happened with the Lakers, and now that we see like all these teams making the play-in tournament and so on, a play-in tournament that LeBron complained about last year, by the way, when the Lakers would have made the playoffs if not for the play-in tournament. What are your thoughts on play-in tournament? How do you feel about it?
I don't like it. I feel like it's just, why are we changing the bottom? The only reason why they did that is because the league is so top heavy. So all those other teams are so close to each other, right? So it all depends
I don't
on
think you
travel.
Can change the top heaviness of basketball because of how many minutes your top players play, right? So like the best players usually win. So I don't think that can change. I like the idea of a play-in tournament, but like these teams don't have a chance, really, right? So like, who cares? Who cares if the 8 seed is? Who cares if the 7 seed is? They're fodder, basically, with the exception of the Brooklyn Nets, who might be a 7 seed and might be in the playoffs healthy with Seth Curry and Durant and Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie Irving decides he wants to play basketball that week.
Oh man, Kyrie Irving, he's another doofus. What a doofus.
I heard this take recently, and I'm not sure I disagree. He might be the most offensively skilled point guard of all time. Not the best, the most like naturally offensively gifted point guard of all time.
He is, man. He's
passing, shooting, ball handling,
and even in college, he was unbelievable. At Duke,
he was my favorite.
I mean?
Like, I hate Duke, and he was my favorite player.
So I actually was like when I first started watching, like getting into other sports other than football and hockey and soccer. Like so when I started watching baseball and basketball, I looked at Duke and I'm like, I like Duke. I became a little bit of a Duke fan, and then as like I didn't really follow basketball, I found myself rooting for other teams. I'm like, you know what? No team for me. It is what it is. And then as the years go by, especially the last 5 years, you realize how much of a prick Coach K was, and how like most of the Duke guys are all assholes.
He also got worse as he got older, right? Like
for sure.
And shittier.
Oh my god, man.
And like the world kind of changed around him. Like they're just the hard-nosed basketball coach doesn't really exist.
And I don't find that he is that hard note of a coach. I just think he's an asshole that he learned from Bobby Knight, right? So
yeah. The most hard-nosed basketball coach. He choked a player. So
fuck. Bobby Knight, man, that guy, he was classic. He was classic.
Yeah, the good and the bad. That's Bobby Knight. Like
I love that type of guy, but like with Coach K was like he tried to Bobby Knight knew who he was. He was an asshole. Coach K he tells the public he isn't while showing us that he is. That's the problem.
There was a turning point when a student reporter asked him a question and he went off on them and told them to change their major.
Oh yes,
that was like
that was Jim Calhoun. No,
it's Coach K.
But Jim Calhoun's had a couple.
Jim Calhoun had one where they questioned his salary.
Get your facts straight.
And he talked about how much money he brought to the university, which he's not entirely wrong. But
also
also just paying the players is the thing.
Yeah. But Coach,
take a little bit of the money and give it to the players.
Coach, I remember that Coach K thing to the reporter. But it was to a kid. It was the kid that worked at Duke.
Yeah, it's a student reporter in your like. Come on, like student reporters don't ask hardball questions, man.
No.
You should be able to handle a 19-year-old asking you a question.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. So Frank Vogel might get fired from the Lakers.
He for sure will be fired.
It turns out the only coach that survived LeBron James long term was Eric Spoelstra, and he's still there, obviously. And you know what I realized? Eric Spoelstra has never won a Coach of the Year in the NBA.
Because all of his success came in the playoffs. Like he did well. Like he was never.
He's been to the finals 5 times.
But the playoffs don't count. The voting doesn't count the playoffs because not everybody's involved.
So, but like, okay, he has the 1 seed with the best player being Jimmy Butler. Who missed large parts of the season. He developed Max Strus, who should be most.
Who won that
player.
year?
Sorry.
Who won that year?
Well, this year they're first overall.
Oh, okay. Oh no. Okay, I thought you meant like in the past.
Well, in the past they were the 4 seed on the year that I said like.
That's what I'm saying. Like they've never been the 1 seed, and usually like you at least you have to be in the top 2, top 3, right? So I think Miami just always.
But like he doesn't have the best team by far.
You find
the Heat are a really deep team, but
he has a good team.
He doesn't have. He doesn't have like a true number 1 closer on the team.
But if you have like 4 number 2s, isn't that better than having 1 number 1?
Not in basketball. Not usually. Usually, if you have you would trade 4 of those guys for 1 Kevin Durant, and then you figure out the rest in the next season. In the off season, you sign who you can. But that's the thing is he doesn't have a Kevin Durant, and like Jimmy Butler's a fine player. He's really good, but like he's got his like fallbacks. Like I heard this comparison best is like if you're playing 2K, the Heat have like 10 guys rated 83 and nobody rated 90. Like that's that's what it feels like.
So is this the year that he's most likely to get a coach of the year?
No, even Memphis will do it because they went 20-3 without Ja Morant, and they just lost that 3rd game in overtime. They went 20-3 without Ja Morant. The last team to have that kind of run in the regular season was Toronto without Kawhi, and then Kawhi came back and they won the championship.
Fuck.
That's why like people are like, yeah, Memphis, maybe pay attention to playoffs. They might be a little more interesting than we think.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's a lot of basketball talk. Sorry, I love basketball, so it's gonna happen now and again. Let's get to rapid fire.
All right. So for this rapid fire, I think we have 6. All right. We're gonna start with exponentially terrible. According to key investor and part owner of the Seattle Kraken, Mitch Garber, he stated that the plan to bring the Expos back to Montreal is, quote, dead. Terry, you're wearing the wrong cap.
That hurts me, man. That fucking hurts me. But like the fact that he said it hurts me.
I don't buy it. I think it's posturing to try and get money from the government to build a stadium.
I know, but that's what hurts me. It's like, okay, they're gonna go through this game now, and like we're gonna be in the middle of it. So
the thing is, I don't think billionaires should get public funds to build stadiums. At the same time, because it exists already in different markets, basically Major League Baseball, the NFL, all the major leagues make it so that you cannot build a stadium without public funds. So as long as that's the rule, then if we
because they don't want to be associated to a city that didn't want this.
Well, and also it gives certain markets an unfair advantage that they can get a new stadium where other markets can't.
Always have to get public. Okay.
And so it's absolutely necessary. You can't do it. I honestly think it's posturing. We see this all the time. I remember David Sampson wearing his giant hat in Texas when he was saying he was trying to move the Marlins to Texas. He was never going to move the Marlins. It was just to get that new garbage stadium that they got, and they fleeced the city of Miami for a ton of money, and all the money they borrowed from MLB they never repaid. But yeah, that stuff. But like that's the kind of thing that happens. Interestingly enough, Eagle and I know Mitch Garber. I coached his son in flag football. Really cool dude. He's a part owner of the Kraken.
Yeah, I know. I saw his son wearing a Seattle Kraken shirt. I'm like, there he is. But no, listen, I would love for Garber. I mean, he's always been involved, right? So like, if he can get involved, that's fantastic.
Like he's one of the key players, right? Like it has to be him and Hoffman for this to move forward, So I know he wants it. He wants it more than anything. It's like a lifetime dream. Like since the Expos moved, it's been his dream to move them back. So I'm excited to I'm hoping it's posturing. I knew the Tampa thing was not a real thing. It's just Tampa trying to get a new stadium from their government. So basically, I think that plan was doomed to fail, and it did. And I hope that the plan to eventually get a new stadium and do it on your own is legitimate. So let's see how that goes.
Let's do it.
All right. Next one. Luck of the draw. A Toronto professor has suggested that there's an inherent bias in the draw for the World Cup groups in the way they actually created the groups, and that being in Pool 2, B, whatever you want to call it, gives you the best overall odds in getting the good matchups. since you're less likely to end up in a heavy group because of the rules they had in place for like European teams and regional teams, and just the way, at least for this one, the way they grouped the teams kind of 1 to 32, with Qatar being given a like I don't know, they're like 500.
So Qatar's in Group B.
No, they're in group. They're in pot 1 or pot A essentially because they're the host country.
So
which
who's in Group
skews
B?
the whole fucking thing.
So who's in Group B?
Well, not Group B. It was Pool 2. Being in
Pool
Pool 2
two.
gave you
Oh,
the
okay,
best
okay.
odds of
Okay,
having
now I
the easiest
understand.
matchups. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. I mean, listen, I don't expect much more from Qatar. First of all, not Qatar. You got to say it properly.
I don't know because I knew someone from Qatar who called it Qatar. He grew
All
up
right,
in
so
Qatar.
I'm wrong. There you go.
I don't know.
Proven
I don't
wrong.
like no because
Proven wrong.
Whatever. You know what?
If it's quiche, it's Qatar.
You know what, Nick? Look into my eyes. You're wrong. You don't know where you're from. It's Qatar.
It's Qatar. You don't know your country's name. You bastard.
So, I mean,
Wasn't I the only one who also thought the draw was fucking boring?
it was. So I escaped work and went out with former hot saucer Christian, and we went to our favorite bar down the street, and we're watching it, and we're both like, what is this? Like, there's a concert, and on the screen, there's just like a plain font displaying the names of the different countries that are in, like, on repeat. Like, it looks like it was done in like PowerPoint. I didn't understand why some teams were placed in like the third or fourth line. I don't know why some teams were placed in like a later pool and some were placed in an earlier pool. The rules weren't clear. Also, let's stop making a show of this. Just tell us who's playing against who.
That's it.
We know it's rigged. We know FIFA's corrupt. Why are we pretending?
We know that Germany's going to be involved, even though they're garbage. Like, we know they're going to be there. We know, like, we know.
That's a great point. Germany being the first B team to be drawn, like, yes, we know they're right outside the top world powers. Yes, wow.
We know they can do you a favor. Yeah.
So shocking that they got drawn there. You know.
Yeah. Fucking shit.
All right, next. Seahawk you later. Despite the stance, or at least the public stance, that the Seattle Seahawks are not going to be moving star receiver DK Metcalf, rumors still persist that they're being offered a 10th overall pick by the New York Jets. That's it. Question, thoughts?
Yeah, that's all it was. So they also said that they weren't moving Russell Wilson and then traded him like a week later. I mean, depending what they get, the team looks like they're in rebuild mode anyway. I'd feel so bad for DK to go to the Jets because nobody should ever have to play for the Jets. I would rather not be a professional football player than play for the Jets. It's the only it's the only part of my irrational fandom that remains is my hatred of the Jets.
I saw the best NFL meme where it's the clip of Will Smith basically yelling, but it's keep my name out of your fucking mouth for the Jets draft.
No, DK in New York would be sick though, because I feel like the Jets they could be they could be good.
If they're good, I'm not watching football. I'm no longer a football fan. Like that's how much I hate the Jets. I hate the Jets as much as I hate capital punishment.
I mean, you don't even need to like double team Metcalf at that point because you know the ball is not going to be thrown properly anyways, right?
That's a good point. He won't even make them better. What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they're going to add him to the team, and it's going to make no difference on the total wins for the season.
Wait, who else would they have if let's say they got DK?
Zach Wilson,
Elijah Moore, Corey Davis.
I know Zach
Le'Veon
Wilson.
Bell. Oh no, wait.
Oh no, wait. We don't know where he is.
Running back. Oh no, they had a decent running back last year. I had him on all of my fantasy teams.
Bilal Powell. I feel like he's just there all the time.
Probably. Art Monk.
Art Monk. I don't know who that is, but
he played in the 80s.
I do know that.
Boomer Esiason.
Who's the player who shot himself?
Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He was the Jets, right?
No, it was the Giants.
No, I think he did play for the Jets at one point.
I think you're thinking of the green from when he was at MSU.
No, I'm thinking about. I know he played for the Steelers. He played for the Giants. He won the Super Bowls with the Giants, but I think he ended his career in New York with the Jets. I really do.
He did. I was absolutely right.
I always forget.
He had a 1-year deal in 2011.
I always forget like the last year, like the Chris Carter year in Miami. I forget the Emmitt Smith in the Cardinals. Like I always forget the last place people end. Like I just assume they ended their careers when I stopped watching them.
There's a funny team that Ricky Waters ended his career with. I forgot who, but it's like a random team.
I think that was the Seahawks. I think it was the Seahawks.
No, he played with the Seahawks for most of his career. Ricky
Was
Watters. Yeah, that was where he made his money. But like, as he played on a, it's like a rat. I'm like, and the year, I'm like, I would have remembered that.
I forgot Ricky Williams played for the Ravens.
He did.
Yeah.
He played Dolphins, Ravens, Bills. Did he play
No, I don't think
Bills?
He played the Bills. Toronto is the closest he played to the Bills. Argonauts.
Played the Argonauts, yeah. Trent Richardson played in
The Saints,
Saskatchewan.
obviously, they drafted him.
Oh, well, no. Oh, shoot, the Saints. Yeah, you're right. Okay, my mistake. See, I always associated Ricky Williams to a Miami team, to a Miami guy.
As you should. When
Yeah.
he was the best running back in the league.
Next.
Luddites defeated. Major League Baseball has now authorized the use of PitchCom, a new transmitting technology that will
This is
allow pitchers
bananas.
and catchers to communicate without signs. The way this works is the catcher has a wristband with 9 buttons on it. The first button press is the type of pitch, and then after the next button presses tell the pitcher where to place the ball. That signal is then sent in like text-to-speech style to the pitcher in either English or Spanish to say like curveball, down left type of thing. The catcher hears it himself, so he makes sure like he got the right call to the pitcher.
Oh my
and up to 3 people in the field get the same signal. So usually you give it to like your second baseman, your shortstop, and then your center fielder who also can adjust for that pitch essentially. So no
Okay.
more
Well, you
sign
can't though because
stealing,
there's no
none
more
of that
there's
stuff.
no more shifts. So
The
you
more
can't just
you-
that much.
The more you moved your lips, Eagle, the more I was annoyed with this decision.
I actually like it. I think
Why?
because
I love it.
because baseball's stupid. Baseball refuses to modernize.
there's no
even
point-
though
there's no
even though the
advantage to
NFL
this.
the NFL constantly changes rules. The NBA constantly changes rules.
No,
and
it's
then-
not a rule. This. It's,
But whatever,
there's
they
no-
use technology. The NFL uses an earpiece for quarterbacks. It's no different.
What
I
what
would. I
advantage
think
do
this
you
is
have?
unnecessary. I think what you should do is put an earpiece in the ear of the catcher and in the ear of the pitcher, and the call comes in from the dugout because it's unnecessary to have the catcher call the game.
I'd much rather that than this thing.
I think it's. Listen, I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't think it's the final solution.
It's a bad idea. It's
Look,
an awful
either
idea.
either it's one.
You saw how annoyed pitchers were with getting their stuff checked. Imagine
Well,
what
because
this
they were all
is just gonna
cheating.
add.
They didn't like the
Not
fact that they
all,
couldn't
just
cheat.
a couple of
They were all
them. I
cheating.
mean, just yeah.
Everyone's throwing 97 now. It's
There's a few bad
nonsense.
apples. It was a
Yeah.
few bad apples.
All of them are the bad apples.
It was a few bad apples.
It just not all of them are as bad as Trevor Bauer.
Yeah,
It also
exactly.
speeds up the game, which means you're not going to be there for 3.5
I don't know.
hours.
I see
Yeah,
like some
imagine
some
imagine
37-year-old
you
catcher
have
trying to
technical
figure out the buttons.
You have a technical difficulty. It's
Now,
it starts
admittedly,
like catching
teams
on fire.
aren't forced to use this. It's just approved as a technology. So people can
Yeah.
still do the old school style, but likely it's going to become more white common.
It'll become more and more the norm. I don't mind.
I
the use of
think it
technology.
takes 20 years. No, that's excessive. I think it takes 10 years.
It's baseball, so it might take 20 years.
Might take
It might
40.
take 20 years.
How long did it take them to introduce instant replay, and it would only check to see if the ball was inside
Oh,
the foul ball line?
the initial instant replay.
Oh my
rule
god, it was such a
terrible.
joke,
It
man.
was
It was
so
such a
bad.
joke.
Yeah, it's look, it's a step in the right direction. I agree. It's over the top, and it just put an earpiece. Go up with AirPods, yo. It's okay. It's good technology. Bluetooth works. We know it works. It's excellent. I guess maybe
Someone's going to be stealing wavelength signals now.
okay, but like again, how do they do it in the NFL then? The technology already exists. Just use the thing that already exists.
The thing is with the NFL, and it's different with baseball, is that the NFL already has technology like the play calling and all that stuff because there's so many moving parts. You need everybody to be synchronized, right? But in baseball, there's not a lot of moving parts. There's just like the one guy throwing the ball.
But
And
either the sign stealing is a big deal and you change
Yeah,
the rule,
that's true.
or it's not a big deal and stop coming at the Astros. It's one or the other. So if this is a big enough deal to punish the Astros, if this is a big enough deal, then you have to address it, which they did. And like I don't mind the use of technology because again, like you couldn't go back to life before a cell phone. We couldn't go back to riding horses to work. So for the same reason, I'm good with this. I just don't think it's the final solution.
All right, next. Wake Up Juice. A group of young women, including one who is said to be a lookalike of O.J. Simpson's deceased ex-wife, Nicole Brown, woke
Murdered.
the former... Murdered, yes. Allegedly. By him.
Well, no, she was
No,
not
no,
allegedly murdered.
She was murdered.
She was murdered.
Allegedly by him.
I know that doesn't look like natural causes.
They woke the former NFL running back up at 1 a.m. for a TikTok video. I have so many questions about how this
Yeah.
went down.
I have so many questions about how somebody can allegedly slice their own throat.
Well, I mean,
Allegedly.
poorly, I imagine, without much accuracy.
But like, imagine that's like as a thing, like it's a disease where people just randomly explode and it looks like they got stabbed 100 times,
Yeah.
and their
Man.
boyfriend too,
Another case of explosive stabberia.
and their boyfriend also. Yeah.
Well, it's contagious.
Very weird condition, but it's treatable. It's affected literally 2 people of all
Yeah.
time, but we don't want it to affect anybody ever again.
Yeah, we all know. God, it's a
Yeah.
terrible, it's a terrible way to
Yeah.
go, Terry. It's a terrible disease.
Should have wore
Um,
gloves.
Well, at least ones that fit. But I just why would you sneak into a probable murderer's house to prank him for a TikTok, especially if you look like the woman he murdered?
You know what? Until you said that, I never even thought about that. Like, why would you break into a guy's house? Like,
Why would you bring it to someone's house, first of all?
That one. And to somebody who has admitted basically to murdering his wife.
It's funny because I realized
If he did it.
I realized also
Yeah,
I was like,
if
well,
he did it.
doesn't he have like security or something? And I was like, oh, he can't have security because he has no money, because he literally has to pay everything he ever gets to the Brown family. But he gets to keep his house because Florida has a homestead law, which means you cannot lose your primary residence if you live in Florida, even if the house was acquired by or even owned by someone who committed criminal activity. That's
What?
why
Allegedly.
that's why the Enron folk live there. That's why Donald J. Trump has a house there despite foreclosures. That's why what's his name, the famous pedophile, lives there.
Epstein.
Lived there.
Jackson.
No, Epstein.
Epstein.
That's why they live there, because there's the homestead exemption law. The final state to have that law is Florida.
Epstein killed himself.
Yeah, well, clearly, just like Nicole Brown.
Yeah, exactly. He just exploded.
It's the third one with the case.
Exploded into mass murder.
Yeah, he exploded his neck into a towel.
That's it.
All right, and last one, Jackson 5-3 to 4-7. Ketanji Brown Jackson has been confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court after a pretty partisan vote. The magna cum laude Harvard Law School graduate who clerked for a current Supreme Court justice and was unanimously appointed as a judge to the United States District Court for the District of Columbia apparently wasn't good enough for 47 senators. That being said, if you lie under oath and sexually assault someone in your youth, or if you're anti-abortion, anti-gay, apparently that's good enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
What the fuck kind of world do we
So I tuned in to sort of try and watch some of the questions for Brown Jackson, and I was appalled. Like I couldn't believe these are people running the country, running one of the biggest countries in the world. She was asked asinine questions about books about gay children and a whole bunch of random stuff that has nothing to do. There was a whole line of questioning about her stance on religion, but then the person asking the question was like, but also like, if you're an atheist, that's also okay. And then she's like, well, I don't want to speak on this because religion has nothing to do with the courts.
I don't understand what.
Everyone asking the question was just posturing for their own political careers, not actually asking questions to decide whether or not she was a valuable candidate.
Which is pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's politics, man. It's politics, and that's what
gross,
everything's
though.
become.
It
Everything's
makes
disgusting.
Me feel disgusting. Just watch. Terry, I had to turn it off. I turned it off. I'm like, these are some of the dumbest people I've ever seen, and they have some of the most powerful positions on planet Earth. And it made me very scared. It made me very scared for the future of the world. And I wish I could say it was just one party. It was both parties. Most of the questions were asinine. It was either like softball questions or questions meant to stir up the opposing fan base.
What did she say about? I don't want to make it political. It's going to get too much, but we'll ask in the chat. I'm curious because maybe I'll just fuck it. I'll just watch it. But it was they all walked out after. Like it was a whole thing. Like I don't know, man. Like it was a whole. People are too bent up about getting people in charge that agree with themselves.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
This is a change. I was talking to Graphite Duke about this. Where it's like, when did it happen that we needed to agree with everyone we spoke to? Like,
yeah.
What happened to people having different opinions? Like you and I, Terry, for example, are really good friends and have been for a long time.
Can I throw?
And we disagree on fundamentally almost everything. It's the basis of this show. It's the basis of and like we're not even screaming about it. We're just like, all right, Terry thinks that. I think this. This is what we think. This is rapid fire.
Can I throw a clause into it though? Usually they used to be somewhat educated opinions, right? Or if you didn't know any better, you would shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they become emotional defenses to things that are not emotional.
And Twitter's the worst place for this. Like the other day, I was on. There's this guy I follow. We always go back and forth about MMA, and he posted something about this about how like why MMA fighters do heavy lifting, like is it a benefit or whatever. And this girl responded, yeah, look at Cyborg, she was posting videos of her doing powerlifting, and then she would complain that she wouldn't be able to cut weight. So I had to explain to her, like, body structures are very different. Like Cyborg, she was a beast, like she was huge, she was really wide, like, you know. And then so we're going back and forth, and I'm giving her, and then I said something that like, and women, it's hard for them to cut water when they're in their menstrual cycle. So I mean that plays part of it in the training camp. And then she's like, oh, thank you for explaining how a woman's menstrual cycle is. I'm like, and there goes a good conversation that you just fucking ruined, you idiot.
Because it wasn't about that. It was just a side note.
It was just a point saying why women can't cut weight as much and why Cyborg couldn't cut weight to get to 145. Like, I don't understand what the problem is here. She's a fucking idiot.
Because you said something that she didn't agree with or bothered her. Like it just that's what it comes down to. Is like the amount of times people say things I don't agree with does not change my stance on what I think about them. What I think about them doesn't change anyway. It's just that, all right, you disagree with me. I don't care. Exactly. I don't care. Anyway, that's that.
That's the show for this week.
That's the show.
Anyway,
it ends with the words,
congratulations.
I don't care. With the final words on today's show.
You know what? Fuck it. What?
Congratulations to Supreme Court Justice Brown Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the awesome part.
That's the important thing. First black woman to be on Supreme Court. So that's a big deal.
She said something about. Anyway, we'll get into it after. I'm
make
curious.
an argument first qualified black person on the court.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that well enough.
Alito is the other person.
I would say that there's issues with the Supreme Court in general. But anyway, lifetime appointments are.
Hey, wasn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg? She was Jewish, but I think she was like half. No, I felt like. I'm wrong.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable answering that question.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Terry, thank you for all the work you've done today. Thanks for joining us.
I didn't mean Alito. I meant Thomas. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Alito was white. It was Clarence Thomas. Never
mind. Eagle, thank you for that clarification. Thank you, everyone who has liked, who has subscribed, who has watched, who has reviewed, who has rated the show. We really do appreciate it. Please continue to do so. That's how we keep the lights on. And everyone needs to see my pretty face. And the only way you can do that is with the lights on. So thank you for all that. And most of all, thank you for letting me be myself. You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.